or Al?
Either will do.
Did you get your? Are you a ballot expert now?
Oh, yeah. I pretty much read through all that stuff, and it's pretty interesting. You're just either building a transformer or you're building a choke, which is just an inductor, and it's sort of there's so many different videos on YouTube. One of them has it so that it winds on one side and then it crosses over to the other, and then winds on that side, which is kind of odd. But especially for just a choke, you just kind of need to wind it evenly around the toroid.
I was gonna say that sounds like a bridge.
Yeah, yeah, it's an odd thing. And you look at different types of noise. There's if you want to do a common mode choke, is different than just adding an inductance. Then there's people who just wrap the coax like 3 times, and they go, "Oh, look, that's our current balloon, or what do they call it, so that it is preventing current from flowing in the outside of the braid." Also interesting. Also interesting to look at all the different impedances of the antennas and the different ratios they want.
Well, there's some fairly standard ones. Obviously, for center fed dipole, you want a 1-to-1. And for an off center fed, they almost always use a 4-to-1. I'm talking about impedance, not windings. And for random length, which really aren't random, they're lengths that are definitely not a half wave or a harmonic half wave. So there's some limits, but like 43 feet is real common. Those they want 9-to-1, and for infeds they want 49-to-1.
Yep.
Or 64. Sometimes you'll find them winding 64-to-1s.
Really cranking up the voltage, huh?
Remember, the voltage is the highest on the endpoints of the resonant dipole. Current's the lowest. In fact, if you want to get into trouble, when you see people that use the MFJ 259 and they trim their dipoles so it has zero reactance, they'll have some resistive, but it'll be zero reactance.
Yep.
And they'll say, "Oh, it's resonant." And the zero reactance actually is a good thing, but it doesn't mean it's resonant. It has nothing to do with resonance.
It's the impedance, right?
Yeah, well, they're trying to take an analogy from a lumped coil capacitor, which at resonance, the impedances of the coil and the capacitor cancel each other out. The reactances, rather, cancel each other out. One's positive, one's negative, right?
Like a tank circuit.
Like a tank circuit. And they're trying to apply that to a dipole antenna center fed, and that's not true. A resonant dipole in free space has a impedance of 73 plus J 42 ohms. So it's 42 ohms of inductive reactance at resonance. But it's just trying to apply, by analogy, something that isn't the same.
Right, but you're still trying to just keep your source impedance and your load impedance the same.
Yep.
So you can do maximum power transfer, and then also avoid the echo from the wave coming back and giving you a standing wave.
PSWR, yep. But,
pretty cool stuff.
So just don't call it resonance, because the official definition of resonance of a dipole is that the current minimums are at the end. That's according to the IEEE.
Yeah, right. Because if it's a dipole and it's one wavelength across the entire thing, then that means that you've got a sinusoid crossing the thing, and so there'd be a zero in the middle, and there'd be on the endpoints there'll be a zero.
And it's still resonant.
Yep.
And if it's 3 times or 3 half wavelengths, you get the same sort of thing.
Neat stuff. And I tell you, after looking at my field and this book called Field and Wave Electromagnetics from back when I took this class in it was 86. I look at that, I go, wow, I can't believe I had to do all that math at one time or another.
Isn't it wonderful the tools we have now?
Oh, yeah, exactly. It was like, oh, man. Avoid that. So I didn't learn how to use a Smith chart, which was cool. So that way, when I look at my, what does that call that network analyzer from the little box they sell online.
The Nano VNA.
Yeah, the Nano VNA. I know what I'm looking at least.
There was a video I was trying to find. It was from a vintage 19-something military film about radio waves and kind of SWR, and they had a pretty good visual demonstration of kind of what you guys were just describing there of keeping SWR 1-to-1 or yeah, but I can't find it. But yeah, cool stuff.
I can't find it offhand, but someplace around here I actually have a little book of Smith charts. I mean, the official ones with nomographs on the side for the measurement stuff.
Hmm.
And by the way, if you really want to, you can download a free program called SimSmith, SIMSMITH, and it'll do Smith charts like mad all over your computer for you. I think it's Windows only, but it may be written in Java and runs on anything.
SimSmith.
Yep.
Just bringing that up here. Looks like AE6TY, SimSmith. Quickest way to understand SimSmith capabilities: introductory video, evolving program.
That's pretty cool.
Sims. It provides four basic functions: a schematic editor.
I don't know if the audio is
The
coming.
ability to characterize components using files if appropriate. Scripts are constructed using the SimSmith circuit.
Yeah, pretty cool looking program there. Yeah. Put a link in the chat here.
There's another one that is a freebie that is written by the same guy that wrote LT Spice.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But he updated it. He's working for a different company, and it's called QSpice. It's also free. You just have to give your name, and they ask to please don't pass around the download links. Go ahead and download it. They promise it's free. So there's another Spice simulator out there if you want to play with that one. That's a freebie.
a link in there. Very cool.
Yep.
Analog and mixed signal simulation. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I know you're in signals as well. I think you mentioned Tom, right?
I'm sorry, say again.
Some of your backgrounds in signaling, digital signals.
My background is I'm a computer geek that just retired from 20 years with Comcast.
Okay, gotcha. Very cool. Very cool.
So the last thing I was working on was an Elk stack, Elasticsearch, Linux, and Kibana, about 500 physical servers, and about 250 terabytes of ingest a day.
Jesus, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, after 15 years with Time Warner. Same thing. Comcast has got the network DVR running, which is a pretty interesting thing too, because they've got to be in the multiple petabytes now in terms of storage.
They are, and you should see how it gets transported.
Yeah. It's all supposed to be a unique copy per individual, which is interesting too, using specialized compression.
And encryption.
Yeah.
But Hammer is a lot more fun.
Yeah, large systems architecture is a lot of fun. I found that to be pretty good. I did the emergency alert system for Time Warner, and I think the guys who came from Comcast and I gave them my design, and I'm pretty sure they went with it too if you're still using Monroe equipment for receiving.
Last I heard, admittedly it's been probably I retired roughly 9 months ago.
Hey, me too.
Well, they gave me a package. But
Me too.
The last time I had anything to do with EAS, the guy was running around because apparently a lot of the receivers had default passwords still in them.
Oh, great. Yeah.
That was about a year, about 3 years ago last time, because he sat in an office in a cube fairly near me when I actually went into an office, but I haven't been into an office for 3 years. So, well, March 15th of 2020.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I left Time Warner in 2017 when they were sold off to Spectrum, and I got the package. And then I would start contracting, which was kind of interesting with quite a few different places. Most of the stuff is Bluetooth, and there was all that 2.4 gigahertz little modules you play with, and then everybody had their own little, development kit which came along with it. And the Qualcomm semiconductors were another interesting thing.
I have been playing with a little Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Actually, what I have been playing with is LoRa.
Yeah, I always wonder about that. That's pretty cool.
That's
Long
LoRa.
range.
That's an STM32 with the LoRa encryption module. Since that is copyrighted or patented, rather.
And
I don't know if
that's in the ISM band, right? Like 900 megahertz, I think, or is that two?
You can get it in the 400 ISM. There's one at 4, but that happens to be in the 900.
Okay, very cool.
The Europeans have one of like 850 or something, just below that. I don't know if there's anybody out there that is interested in having any questions.
Yeah, very cool stuff there. Yeah, I put a link into the chat there about LoRa, what that is. We can discuss that, but yeah, appreciate everyone joining us on here. This is the Denver Radio Club Elmer session. Welcome. Just a general Q&A, as you can hear on in. You don't need to be licensed, and we're talking about our projects. Anything that you're working on, any questions, let us know.
Cool. I was wondering if I could ask a quick question for you guys.
Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm a new ham. I got my technician about a year ago, KF0JWX, and I've just kind of been messing around on the local repeaters and kind of playing around with my J-pole, getting everything set up. And I'm sure you guys understand that it just kind of snowballs. You're like, oh, I need to get this. I need to get that. I need a linear power supply now. Now I need to get a better clock. Now I need, and so I'm starting to look at HF, and I'm studying for my general. And so do you guys mind if I, well, I'm trying to.
Share your screen? Yeah, no problem. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I gotta give it the permissions here.
Yeah, congrats. Welcome to the club. Yeah, thanks for joining us here. Yeah, HF is going to be even more expensive, but there'll be lots of things you want. But my only thing on that is buy once, cry once. You know, do your research with some of the more expensive stuff. But yeah, let us know what you're looking at.
Yeah, well, I'm on a work laptop at home, and it's not letting me share for some reason. So I'll drop the presentation in the chat, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see if I can do that. It's not letting me do that. Let's see here. Well, essentially, I'll try to describe it, but I live in Lakewood, and I've got just a regular single-family house in just a normal neighborhood.
Yep.
But it's everywhere you look, there's power lines, and the entire back of the property, there's a raised power distribution line. That's in the entire backyard. And then on the left of my house, you have a street light power drop from that power distribution line all the way to the street. And then I've got, trees that aren't really conducive to hanging things. It's like evergreens. So I'm kind of wondering, like, how effective are I'm just looking basically to start with some antenna that would work a 20 meter or 40 meter band, and something that maybe be portable, because I'm looking, it might only be possible for me to put up a temporary pole like at night. You know, it would pretty much be at night when I would do this, and maybe sometimes during the day and the weekends. But is there any kind of like portable telescoping antenna you can just throw up, work a few bands and then be done with it? Or am I going to have to put something in the attic, or climb a tree 40 feet in the air? What are your general thoughts on that?
Which is
no, sir.
Okay, well,
then don't worry about the taking it up and down type stuff unless your wife wants to kill you.
Okay.
The reason you're going to find most people that are have problems is because of in single family homes, because they have HOAs, and of course the way you get around that is you run and become president. But seriously, you've got how big is your lot?
I'm trying to estimate it here for you. I'm going to try to do a screenshot of this layout and see if I can't drop that in the chat. But it's a 2,400 square foot, just on a it's hard to estimate how big the lot is for me. I moved up here from Texas a year ago, and you measured your lots in acres. So it's a little different here.
What's your address, Ben? I'll look it up in Google Earth here.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It's 1024 South Vivian Court.
And we have a lot of operators in the Lakewood area too.
Yeah, I hear a lot of them on the repeaters and the nets, so that's good. But yeah, it's a pretty standard house for this side of Green Mountain. that in there.
Yeah, that.
There you go.
I know people like the DX Commanders antennas. Those are more portable, and you can set up whatever bands you need. G5RV, and depending how much tuning you want to do or building of stuff to make sure that it all resonates correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the house right there with the white truck and the Suburban. And a portable one would also be appealing to me as well, so I could take it out camping with my son's scout troop and maybe kind of let the boys do some third-party transmissions at night, overseas. I think that'd be kind of cool for the kids. Yeah, that's the house right there, and you can see a power distribution line right in the back. And from where you're looking at it, the north side near the white truck there's a light pole that you can't really see, but it kind of covers that entire run from the street back to the back of the house. So there's really nowhere to put up a freestanding kind of tower in the back or the sides, because if it fell, it would just hit those lines.
Is it this one here?
Yeah, that's it. That's
You
right
can-
when we moved in, when I had a bagster in the driveway, pulling out all the old stuff from the old owner.
Well, I did HF for years with a wire, and you certainly got some trees there you could launch a wire into and string between a couple of them. Use a wrist rocket, or
You could also put up a vertical, and provided you guy it, which almost, regardless of what the manufacturers say, if you can, you're better off guying verticals, even though they say, we'll survive 180 miles an hour and so on. But if you do that, then you're going to lessen your chance of trying to drop it across that power line.
Yeah.
So that becomes less of an issue there. You don't have a really good run. Well, first off, you don't have to worry about the neighbors. And yes, you got power drops that come on the side, but provided you don't, it would take a lot of effort to try to get those things to touch one of the power lines. If you're just hanging a wire, like I think it was Jeff said, tossing something up in a tree. So you got a lot of options there.
you can also take a piece of drill stock or pipe and sink it in the ground on the side of the house and put a small beam on it or something.
Yep.
Okay. How much interference do you think I'm going to get from that distribution line in the backyard that's raised? Is that going to be significant?
That depends upon the distribution line, unfortunately. Actually, depends upon things like transformers and so on down the road.
Sure.
If they're operating correctly, you don't get interference off of them. And you can tell that pretty quickly. Do you happen to have one of the inexpensive little shortwave receivers that they sell that can pick up aircraft?
No, the only tower, I've got a J-pole.
No. I'm not talking about an antenna. I'm talking about a radio. Do you have a...
No,
Okay.
I haven't even gone down the rabbit hole. The radio that I have now, I've got a Yaesu FTM 6000 for UHF, VHF, but nothing for HF yet.
I'm sorry, I'm not making myself plain. I mean, do you have a radio receiver that is shortwave that you can get the small radio receivers, not a transmitter, that will receive on the aircraft bands?
No.
Okay. We might be able to figure out some way to get you one. Or do you have an inexpensive AM receiver?
Yes.
Okay. Go tune that to some place where you don't have a local station, which in Denver is very hard to do, and go wander out in your backyard and see what kind of noise you're picking up. And does it get worse when you get closer to those lines? If it does get worse, then you know you're going to pick up some interference from there, and that's when we start engaging Excel about cleaning up their stuff, which they actually like to do because if they're generating that kind of interference, they're losing money because they're losing power. So they actually are fairly decent about that. So just take your AM, and I seriously doubt that you're going to have too much trouble. So I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Okay.
Um, the only other thing you're going to have trouble with a vertical, I'm afraid, is you're pretty close to your neighbors, like everybody is. And unfortunately, we have lots and lots of wall warts and switching power supplies and Chinese LED bulbs.
Solar panels with inverters.
There's and a lot of the grow lights in Colorado. But the problem is those things can generate quite a bit of interference. Switching power supplies these days, there's some of them running up at a meg or even higher frequencies. Originally, they were, you'd have a switching power supply at 50 kilohertz, but these days they have kicked them up higher and higher, and those can generate noise. So there is some issues there, but again, your best bet, quite honestly, is go wander around with an AM radio and see if you can't see if you have any hot spots. The reason I'm saying you might have a little difficulty with a vertical, first off, Chris, with a vertical, you're going to need radials, and it looks like you got grass back there. Do you have kids or a dog at this point?
I've got 2 kids.
How old?
They're 6 and 3.
Okay. In that case, you will have to bury your radials slightly.
Yeah.
Well,
tear that up.
If you don't have kids running around, what you can do is you just basically lay them on the grass, and in a matter of almost a few weeks, the grass grows over them like mad and buries themselves. So you'll never find them, type thing. But you'll have that as an issue, and you don't obviously want your kids anywhere near that while you're transmitting, so you'll have to make sure of that because you do have power. So maybe a vertical is not your answer. It might honestly be to put up, I think, was it Jeff, did you suggest go ahead and put up a pole and then put up like a little 20-meter beam, or the hex beam?
Right, or like a little butterfly beam or something,
Yep. Or the hex beam, MFJ, but also I think Chameleon there's several people put that out.
You could also do a rotable dipole. You can do that on a tripod on the roof.
Yep.
Okay. Do you guys have a link to like an example of a good butterfly beam kind of solution that you could drop in the chat that you'd recommend?
You got the HRO catalog. Have you looked at the HRO catalog? You'll need to remortgage your house if you look at the HRO catalog.
Yeah, no.
But I can find something for you here. Hang on.
Let me see here.
I put a couple links in there, but the first one might be not what you're needing, but just those are the terms. Butterfly beam.
Okay. I see. Okay. Yeah, pardon my ignorance. I haven't done a whole lot of research on this. I figured before I went too deep down some horrible path, I figured I'd come to the Elmer Council.
That's what it's for. We often hear people buying things often that they don't really need, and it's just buy the things you need and get set correctly the first time.
Oh yeah. Well, these are great suggestions. I appreciate it, guys.
Ron, we never buy anything we don't need.
No, yeah, none of us. No.
Yeah.
Shelves. Looks at my shelf of nano VNAs. Yeah.
My favorite quote is years ago. Dean Hayworth, who was a member of the club for many years, and he's gone now, but he was working after he retired part-time at HRO, and I walked in there one day, and He says, "What can I do for you today, Jeff?" And I said, "I'm just looking to see what I need." He says, "You don't need any of this stuff."
Yeah. Well, very cool. Yeah, good luck. If you have any other questions or any projects or other projects you're working on, Ben, let us know.
And I appreciate it, guys. You're saving me a lot of time here. So I thank you for your advice.
No problem. Absolutely. Then check in again next month, or we have or whenever you want to check in on the nets. We have a learning net every other Wednesday, except for this Wednesday. Very similar kind of conversation. If you want to update us, then you're more than welcome to.
Great. Yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on the monstrosity that I put up in the backyard here.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, we've had a few more people join here. Again, welcome to the Elmer Session. As you're hearing, this is just a general Q&A about ham radio and projects you're working on. If anybody has any comments, questions, let us know. We have another 20 or so minutes here. So you welcome Jim, Kevin, Larry, anyone else that joined there? Let me see. KC0JAV here again. Welcome here. There was something that Jeff mentioned last month during the session that I didn't catch well enough or onto, but he talked about a log periodic antenna at the Denver Federal Center. I never noticed that was even there. I'll drop a YouTube link of a local ham radio operator that's taken some video of that. I can share my screen here too.
That's my dream antenna.
Yeah. Let me see, where's that gun here?
There's two of them there.
Oh.
Yeah, but Jeff, you don't need that wide a bandwidth. Except for 80 meters.
It's like, how fast does your internet have to be?
So these are, I'm guessing, just USGS or some governmental purpose?
It's FEMA. FEMA has their bunker there.
Okay.
There actually used to be a vertical in a blast-proof silo.
Oh, that location. That's right. I thought this was the one off of like 6th Avenue and 25. Okay, this is
This is Denver Federal Center.
That's right. I remember saying that. Yeah.
And
Okay.
they used to have that cool spider antenna that they took down, that multi-band spider.
Huh. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that one is a log periodic.
Yeah. The club toured that bunker years ago. I don't know if we could ever get in there again or.
Did we? Oh, well, that makes sense. That'd be pretty cool.
I saw a YouTube video. Apparently, Collins Radio made some disc cones that the military used at missile sites, and they were HF. And there's some missile site that's been preserved, kind of as a museum. So there's some hams that are using that disc cone antenna. Now that's what you need, Jeff.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
I mean, it goes down to like 80 meters.
Wow.
That's right. I think I had seen that before. Go ahead.
I was just going to say they fire it up every once in a while as a special station, special event station.
I've also been in the bunker at Camp George West. I don't know if the club toured that at one time or not, but or if it's even active down there anymore. Not hearing any audio.
You control the tuning from this down there. These are just controls for the radio systems. This is the control and the tuner for the HF hardened telescoping antenna that we saw top.
Up through 30 or a little higher probably. When it's fed from the bottom, it acts more like a caged vertical antenna. And there is actually a radio field. If we look at the bottom base here, there is chicken wire that's coming out over the concrete. And I was told by my guide that the...
Oh, wasn't right there. Put a link in the chat there, yeah. Ham radio, Collins HF Discount at the Titan Missile Museum. Cool stuff there, yeah. Right, yeah, we have another 15 minutes or so if anybody has anything. A few people in the chat here. We're hopefully potentially going to have an presentation by Amanda Alden, K1DDN, but things might change last minute. But we do have something pretty cool video if we need as a backup. But I can bring a few things up. We have an upcoming, again, we were talking about our Hamfest coming up August 27th, a couple of weeks from now. If anybody's interested in that, if you're going to be selling some things or buying some things, if anybody wants to let us know what you're looking forward to that, let us know. Throughout the year, or other than Hamfest, you can also go on our website and put your own ads online. Got some a Linko radio for sale, a DX Commander antenna, some other equipment here. So you can always check that out outside of the Hamfest. What else? Yeah, what have we been talking about here recently on the Learning Nets? Some Aero antennas, 2 meter, 70 centimeter reviews for satellite operations, fox hunts. Talking about an upcoming event that will be supporting the American Diabetes Association Tour de Cure bike ride, September 9th. That'll be our next upcoming event. Pretty cool. Let me see if I can bring up some information, but Larry Irons has participated in a separate ride as well and supporting that, so it's just getting ham radio folks together to support different aspects of these this sort of event, so pretty cool stuff there.
I was seeing somewhere that they do fox hunts on 80 meters. I thought that was interesting because you must need a big antenna or something like that. And what's that called? On the Air from the ARRL, there was a thing about young people doing fox hunts, and they had this strange loop antenna and then some kind of little magic box they would run around with behind it. A lot of them seem to be this 2 meters type devices that you're supposed to find, which okay, so then you've got a small Yagi or something you can point at it. But if you're trying to find something like noise, let's say, and where it's coming from, it'd be nice to have something directional, especially if it was directional and could give you 20 meters or something like that. Then you could walk around with it's the issue where it's got a picture of a young lady running from the left to the right. There you go. See the right hand side? Gotcha. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. See that weird thing with round
that
loop
one?
thing? Yeah. See that? Yeah, I tried the tuning in the AM radio and listening for noise, and I didn't get any noise. But as soon as it went on to the ham frequencies or anything above a couple of megahertz, then all of a sudden I got lots of it, and it pretty much overwhelms my system. Yeah, see that? That's kind of interesting stuff.
Have you tried using a tiny SA?
Yeah, that'd be an idea. But then, I mean, how do you need directional, right? A lot of the
No,
time.
you just need a loop like she's got there.
Ah, really?
Yep.
This is good stuff. All right. Yeah, I've got a tiny essay as well.
And you don't have to be quite so fancy. You just make yourself a loop out of. In fact, one that I saw, the guy had it on a 1x2, and it was a loop. We'll do it scientifically. 0.5 meter in diameter.
All right. Thank goodness for SI units.
Yeah. I was hoping they were going to have some technical. Let's see.
You'd wish, yeah.
Yeah. They have buttons such as sense, tone, and attenuation. Okay, great. Thank you. Let's see.
Check the link I just dropped in there.
Yeah.
A simple direction finding receiver for 80 meters. See, that's the ticket. 80 meters. And then, I'm interested in the 20 meter band because that's about the length of wire I can put in my backyard without that HOA noticing it.
This is the opposite. There's too much information here now on this one, Jeff. No. When I see this, it's like the Homer Simpson GIF of just a monkey banging its cymbals in its brain. But this is good stuff here. Huh, very cool. Yeah, I know a lot of our people have done some radio direction finding. Can't recall the call signs now, but it's not 80 meter, I don't believe so. So what's the benefit of 80 meters then? If you mentioned it, I missed it. Sorry.
I have no idea. It just shows up in the article, and you're going, all right, well, 80 meters, and then I don't really care about 80 meters because I can't run an 80 meter dipole in my backyard, and they would notice a vertical, and they'd probably notice a Yagi sticking out of my roof.
Let's see, it's the first sentence here, if I had read it. Let's see, transmit. 80 meters is good band for beginners because it is not subject to reflections and multipath distortions of signals that can be confusing on VHF. So it's probably a lot easier to pinpoint, maybe, with that band. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very. Let's see. Yeah, we don't talk about the ARL publications too much. Yeah, on the air publication, pretty good here. Let's see. Tropospheric ducting, 10-meter CW propagation beacons, getting on.
Yeah, I was wondering about the CW beacons. Yeah. It was kind of interesting too. Apparently, people set up little remote transmitters that go on and on, transmitting out their station IDs and.
Oh, this is like Yeah, I think I have seen this. Yeah, CW beacons sit on 10 meters, transmit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They send out their messages waiting to be heard by someone. Listening for beacons is a quick way to tell if 10 meters has useful propagation, what direction it may favor. Sometimes they're first clue that the fact that 10 meters is open. So, yeah, that's pretty good as well. Yeah, digital things like FT8, things like that, and there was another CW thing like this as well, basically, but just showing people what the bands look like through some of these automated things. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. FT8's kind of an interesting thing, but like I just went and hooked up a what do they call this thing? An SDR with a little ham local oscillator, and you can see some things that on there that are take up a little bit more bandwidth, and they make this horrible sound. But I keep wondering, what does an FT8 signal sound like so that you know what to tune into?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, if you've ever played around with FT8, let me see if I can bring that up. You'll hear it on your radio for sure. Let's see if I can play one though. It's pretty distinctive. Pretty cool page here. SIG-ID wiki, signal identification wiki, shows you kind of a waterfall of what it looks like, as well as audio sample. Let me see if I can.
Oh, cool.
So a little annoying, but quite distinctive in that noise. Yeah.
Nice website. Thanks.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I hope one day they can build this into an app or something, and your radio can automatically feed something, and it'll automatically tell you what it is. And yeah, there's a lot of identified signals and unidentified signals. So if anybody's ever interested, if you've heard something, and I'm trying to identify it, or it's good.
Yeah, I hear all kinds of weird things on there, and I also know there's RTTY is very popular. Apparently with ham radio, except for they send messages across in Bordeaux.
Well, not entirely. There's some ASCII out there.
Okay, that would be nice.
But what I've noticed about RTTY most of the time is it really picks up when there's a contest. And do not confuse the letters TEST as a test. That's actually shorthand for I'm doing a contest. I get really angry if you respond and you're not part of their contest.
Yeah. You wonder what a normal floor is too. If I look at my noise floor and I'm sitting there, I'm like, 70 dB down, and it's just solid noise.
Someone else spoke and.
Oh, sorry.
If it hasn't had anything there, it looks like Jeff put a link in there for what's FT8, a video here, a pretty good video of a good summarization of the signal looks like, and it probably sounds like as well.
Yeah, see, they're wider.
Yeah.
I wonder which code they're using on this thing. I've got that SDR PP, SDR++ I put on my Linux box, and
yeah.
Seems somewhat limited. This looks a lot fancier, whatever that one is.
If you can get WSJTX and WSJTX alert set up, it looks confusing, but it really helps to kind of see what calls are calling out there, see who's heard you. That's something I recommend.
And that just takes an audio input, correct?
Yes,
right.
That does. Correct.
Yeah, I'll try that next. I like signal processing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it really is. I want to do some more of that DSP stuff. I remember the whole thing of I used to do the bilateral Z transform from going to Laplace to the Z domain, and then you could use that to do your difference equations and put it through there. And
have you looked at GNU radio?
yeah, it looked like that was the basis for a lot of these projects. And then they also have the ability to put components together and make your own stuff.
They have a DSP engine, is what I'm suggesting to you.
Okay, yeah.
And so you can sit there and it will interface to almost every SDR receiver out there. So you can sit there and they have pre-built modules for things like FM demodulation and so on and so on and so on. But you can, if you want to drop in a multiplication in there, it's there.
Yeah. Doing a what's it called, Mac, where it does the multiply accumulation for.
Yeah, and it really is a drag and drop interface, so you can bring in the components and then you can adjust them.
Toys. That's what I love.
So take a look at the new radio, because again, it's free.
Yeah, and it's free, and it's not like it's free and worth every penny.
There are some really good GNU products out there. I've been playing with GNU Octave because I cannot afford MATLAB. Sorry.
Yeah, neither can I. But yeah, Octave, and there was another one out there too that I fiddled with. But yeah, the Octave was pretty good for coughing up the coefficients. You want to do a biquads and things like that.
Yep.
Break.
All right.
We're about 4 minutes out from, or 3 minutes out now from the presentation. I just wanted to mention that Kevin Schmidt's going to be Jerry tonight. Jerry can't be with us, I understand. And then Dave Basinger is going to narrate. I don't think we have our intended speaker with us tonight, so we're going to play a pretty interesting video here for y'all. Sorry again for the bait and switch, but so it goes.
No worries.
Hey, Jeff, while you're there, I have a book here with a whole section on HF log periodic antennas,
Oh, cool.
including one that is designed for Invis, for the military, straight up, straight down, that covers 3 to 30 megahertz.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And it only takes 4 33 meter towers.
Wow. 4.
Yeah, it's square.
I love it.
Well, you should see the vertically polarized log periodics that cover the 2 to 30 megahertz band.
Wow. Well, it's always interesting to see what direction those ones at the Federal Center are pointing. Usually they're due east, but sometimes they'll have one pointing one way and one another way, and you always wonder what's going on when that's happening.
By the way, Al, that tiny essay,
Yeah.
you do want to limit the bandwidth on the thing and then bring down the RBW, the resolution bandwidth.
Mhm.
Because if you just open it wide open, here in Aurora, which is where I live, I can see channel 7 and channel 9 on the thing.
All right, everyone, thanks for joining on here. I'll be dropping this and then start streaming again for the meeting. Thanks again for joining us on here.
I mean, it's still MPEG 2, and it's like, oh.
They're moving to MPEG 4.